Good morning, New Jersey, and welcome to the big broadcast. I'm O'Don. The G-Man is kind of picking up the pieces from the 11 o'clock news from last night at NBC 10 in Philadelphia, so he may be joining us. But who is joining us is the one, the only, Rich Von Olin, coming all the way in from Long Island, New York. Rich, good to see you.
Good morning, Devin. Good to see you, too.
Good,
all right.
Good. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about weather-wise in the next week or so. And even just for tonight, tonight being New Year's Eve, a lot of people heading out to Times Square, going to check out the ball dropping. So we'll get to that forecast in just a moment. So just a little kind of housekeeping. We are live on my Facebook page, the Good Morning New Jersey YouTube channel. So please check that out, like and subscribe. We're still trying to find the 800th subscriber, Rich. Can't find one person. I don't know if you know anybody out by you, but we need one person to get us over the leg for 800. And we're also streaming to my Instagram page, trying something new here. It's Odon Traffic. So if you want to like, and I don't know if it's a subscription for Instagram, not sure, but I think that's kind of where all the cool young people hang out, is on Instagram, Rich. I don't know.
Cool and young. Yeah, we were once cool and young, weren't we?
Yes, exactly. Totally. I don't know if
sometime in our life. Yeah.
Which order we're going to put that in, but yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just check the Instagram feed as I'm watching it now. I believe that it is. Yeah, we're actually on. Wow, Rich, it actually worked. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible with a 12-year-old computer, right? Michelle Romano says currently live from New Jersey Transit. So she has a little laughter thing there, but she says, good morning. I feel like Michelle worked at the old place. I feel like the name sounds familiar.
Does sound familiar. Yeah, sure does. Yeah.
So I will leave that feed up there for now. Let me get our stuff set up, and then I can bring your weather in. It's been interesting the last couple of days, right? I mean, 60 plus degrees on Sunday. Felt like spring, people out in shorts and flip-flops, and just a week before, what we were in single digits. So it's
whiplash weather.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're, it's kind of a wild ride, but
yeah,
I guess in some ways that's kind of like December.
I hit some golf balls yesterday here in Long Island.
Did you really? Wow.
The golf range was packed. It was hopping.
Really? Wow.
And people out there taking advantage of the 60-degree weather. We had a record high here on Long Island at Islip MacArthur Airport, about 61 degrees. So, a lot of smiles out there. But you know what they say, don't get used to it in New York, the tri-state area, although New Jersey. It's not going to last. So we're going to talk about that.
This is true. Yeah, I think I had 60. Again, this is coming from the car, but I think it said 67. How true that was, I don't know, but I wasn't like in the sun or anything. So it certainly felt close to it. It was probably, getting close to as accurate as it possibly can be. Yeah. So we had that little bit of warmer weather. We got some changes for tonight. So let's jump into the forecast. Let me bring in your maps here. We'll put that full screen. And let's see what it's going to be here for New Year's Eve.
All right. So final day of 2024. It's been, like we said, a little rocky up and down roller coaster month of December. And we start things out. Weather Service looks like we got some gale warnings and some advisories on the ocean, little coastal flood issues perhaps near Raritan Bay coming in late tonight with some winds changing up, but it doesn't look like anything too dramatic. Radar's quiet for now. To the west, there's Pennsylvania. You can see a little bit of stuff there getting in there. All that blue in New York, upstate New York and western New York is lake effect. Snow watch is coming up. They're going to have some pretty good lake effect coming in the next day or two. You can see that little bowling ball type, that circle, that spiral across the Ohio Valley Great Lakes. That's our next little weather maker Don just alluded to. There's going to be a little pop of some showers and maybe a couple of downpours, similar to what we had a couple of nights ago for New Jersey and for the tri-state. So if you're going to be out and about doing stuff in the city this evening or anywhere across New Jersey, you may want the raincoat, the umbrella, the poncho. Now we're good, midday afternoon, going to go do some chores, pick up some folks, maybe get things ready. 7 p.m., there's not much happening except in southern New Jersey, Atlantic City, down towards Ocean City, so we're okay. This is where things start to get a little bit dicey, towards about 9, 10, 11 p.m., right as we're celebrating, getting ready to ring in the new year. Look at some of the red, orange, and yellow. Ocean County, Monmouth County, getting up the coast there, Neptune City area, up towards Seaside Heights and up towards Long Branch. You got some showers and storms here, and that line will probably jog east towards Long Island again into parts of Nassau and Suffolk County towards about midnight. So I think we'll be perhaps getting a break here across New Jersey and the city. But Central Park, you watch some of the activities across Times Square in the city, and there will be some rain coming down. I think the folks there will be getting kind of wet there, but if it's not going to be cold, Don, we're not talking about like ice cold, crazy cold, or windy, just some pretty good downpours. And then after that kind of flies into New England, we'll see some nice dry, quieter, nicer weather for New Year's Day. So
Rich, sorry to jump in. Can you go back to that map just so our folks here that are chiming in the comments here? The timing of it, like right before midnight, do you think it shuts off a little bit? Does it kind of just go to drizzle, like when the ball comes down? Or I mean, you obviously be pretty soggy at that point. You're gonna be pretty soggy getting up into midnight, but. Yeah,
it looks like anytime between 8 p.m. and like 1 a.m. right in that window right there. We do have that little tongue and shot of some pretty good, downpours and rain. So it's going to be a little dicey, but it's not ice or snow. It's just almost like a spring type of deal.
Some of those red and yellows. Is that any of? I dare use the word severe very, very lightly, but I mean, could it be? I mean, was it since it's a fairly warmer air mass that we're dealing with here than if it was, 40s?
Probably not severe, but I think those are probably good, downpours, when it pours rain for like about 15 minutes and,
shout of rain. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably something like that. Maybe a little flash of lightning, clap of thunder. I don't think it's going to take down trees or do anything like that, but it'll rain pretty hard for 15, 20 minutes. You're going to want like something in there, a poncho, an umbrella, something just to keep you from getting soaked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the deal. And that's a good, that window between 8 p.m. and midnight, 1 a.m. That should fly by. It looks like it wants to go east though, towards Long Island, Connecticut. So hopefully that, bolts gets out of here so we're not all getting soaked too badly for the midnight hour. But it looks like New Year's Day, itself should be all right. We're back to a northwest breeze, windy, a little drier, 40s though. It becomes some 30s though. Then we get into what really is January. This is the real winter chill here for Thursday and Friday. Should be sunny, should be dry. Lake effect snow in the Tug Hill up towards the, the western part of New York State, but nothing they haven't seen before. We should be dry, sunny for Friday and into the weekend. And then let's take you through long range because there's a lot of chatter, Don, all over social media about what's going on here the next, couple of weeks. Yeah, You know what? We get into January. We've been very lucky. We've been skating through this, last few winters here without anything really too crazy. But, we talked about it last week. You need the blue. This is the jet stream pattern. We're circled right there in the red. I put a little bit of a table to the left that kind of defines what the colors mean. When you've got the lighter blue there, that we're kind of in here for at least, this weekend, that's the Canadian cold air bordering on some of the dark blue Arctic across the Northeast and New Jersey. Pretty cold stuff. So it's pretty cold. That's highs when you have highs in the 20s to near 30.
Right.
And if you get into some of that purple, if you look carefully there, see that purple, that's the polar air. That's what we call the center of the polar vortex, which is really nasty. That's when you have highs in like the, the teens, and then even chills like 10 below. That's the really biting cold. But notice how, if you look carefully at the map here, it's in animation mode here. You see how all that big blue and purple, it's really not driving to the south. It's kind of like going a little more west to east than north to south. But if you also notice too, there's a lot of it though. Unlike what we've seen the past several years here. See the next wave coming in here. You get another one there about the 7th, 8th, 9th of January.
Right.
That one looks like it means business, across the Great Lakes. Look at that donut. See the donut right there heading? Yeah. That's a polar vortex. That's the really nasty cold stuff. And what you look here, Don, and what you see is that it's persistent. It's not like we're back into that, green or the yellow, like that's in the western states. That's the 50s. That's the nice weather we're having right now. And that's kind of like leaving the scene. So let me break it down like kind of day to day here. And, this is for the weekend, Sunday, January 5th. The real core of cold air is in eastern Canada, not far away from New Jersey, not too far. So we're on the southwest edge. So that means probably highs about 30 or so, which, is, cold, but not like brutally crazily cold, And then we get in the next week and it kind of levels a little bit, maybe some mid 30s here. There might be a few waves, coming in, but then look at the next shot, it doesn't like go away. We kind of get reinforced by the 11th. Kind of stay with that. Yeah. Pretty much towards the middle of January. So that's the case here. Okay.
Wow.
And Climate Center, certainly indicating, you can see now, instead of being red, orange, and yellow, we're deep blue right now. That doesn't mean like crazy cold Arctic. What the blue means is that a really good chance that we'll be seeing below normal temperatures.
Yeah.
In other words, we're supposed to be 40 degrees this time of year.
Sure.
We'll probably be in the 30s. That's what that means. Okay. So that takes us through the first week, and second, maybe the middle of January.
Okay.
And in terms of, this is interesting too, Don, precipitation wise, like when you have a cold outbreak like this, it doesn't, take much to get a snowstorm, but look at all the below normal, precipitation. We don't see a lot of big storms. You don't see a lot of rain, snow, and wicked stuff coming in. So if that's the case, this just may be a very prolonged dry and cold period for 2 weeks into early January.
Right.
The outlook was still waiting for the seasonal. Maybe they'll change this and adjust this a bit for the January, February, March period, but they're still saying a little bit above, and precipitation basically close to normal. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. We'll finish it up here. We'll wrap up with the climate for Newark Airport. And you mentioned this. Now, this is, again, we're getting just about to the end of the month here for December. And you can see the roller coaster ride. We started out like 7 days in the beginning below normal. Then we went 4 or 5 days above normal, then 3 or 4 days below normal, and then above normal, and then below. Look at that little cold shot, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. We were 11 degrees on the 23rd.
Wow.
And then we look at the last 3 days. We were 20 degrees above normal. 65 degrees was the high on the 29th.
Wow.
And like you said yesterday, you saw some 60s, 59 official at Newark. But when you put it all together, we going to end up almost close to normal for the month, temperature-wise, after all that up and down.
Go figure, after all that, right?
Yeah, and then precipitation close to where we should be, about 3.6, which is good because we need that for the drought situation, which we also mentioned. Still in the extreme drought. Imagine it's the end of December here. This is something you don't really see that often. It's still a drought situation, although the northern area is starting to get a little bit better. So, 2025, Don, it looks like it's going to definitely start out pretty cold, but we definitely have that, chance of seeing some snow. We can talk about that coming up here. But
go ahead.
I don't see anything like definitive right now. You're looking at the maps. A lot of course, the weather enthusiasts on social media, kind of like they go, the model runs come in like every 6 hours. Okay. Yeah. So you get 4 times a day. And every time a run comes in, you look and go, oh my God, it's going to be a snowstorm. Yeah. And then you wait 6 hours later and all of a sudden, kapoof, it's gone. Yeah. And then, it shifts and moves. So what's happening, you're getting knee-jerk reactions from a lot of the weather enthusiasts that check these maps. But as James, says, the trend is your friend. And when you see trends like this where they're not constantly showing a bombastic East Coast snowstorm, I think right now we can just kind of like stand down and wait and get closer. Okay. Sure. But for now, cold is pretty much a great chance for the 2 weeks. And then the snowstorm, jury's still out for now.
Yeah. Okay? Cold is the story. I want to jump in with our comments here. We got a bunch of people here on Instagram. So we got our good buddy, Andre Ferro.
Hey, Andre.
Reporter. Yeah. Andre worked with us at the old place for quite a while. Good morning to you. We got Douglas here. He just put a little smile face up there. Douglas, realtor. I'm not sure who that is. We get Michelle Romano still there. Zach Bear Funds. Little Bear Funds, whatever that means. I don't know. I don't know the Instagram lingo. Let's see here from our friends on YouTube. We got Jimmy Berger here saying good morning. I can't put the Instagram comments up. It's just the way the program's set up, but I'll have it on the side monitor. Good morning to Alexandra. She's coming in from East Rutherford, work from home today. Our good friend there. Happy New Year to you. Jimmy says coming in from Oak Ridge, New Jersey. My good friend here in Monmouth County and Homedale. Anna, buenos dias. Happy and healthy New Year. Same to you. We've got Jimmy saying buenos dias, Auntie Anna, and Jessica says happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'll get that right.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, right. From Howell, and Douglas on Instagram says hello. So we say hello to him as well. Let's see. A couple of birthdays I want to throw out there real quick. First, my uncle down in Florida. Happy birthday to him, and my cousin, both on the same day, very much like my father and myself. So happy birthday to both of them, both in Florida, live very near each other. Also, a couple people from the old place. Our good friend Jamie Stelter. Happy birthday to her. And Jeff Jensen.
Hey.
Yes, Mr. Jensen on the manning the airwaves of 1010 wins on the overnights. JJ the DJ, as he
worked with him back in the day. We had a blast. We had a lot of fun. I love working with Jeff back in the day. Great very bright, cheery personality at 4:00 in the morning.
Absolutely. This is true. This is true. He'd bring his bag in and he'd have his toaster and all the other stuff, all kinds of food and stuff like that. But happy birthday to JJ. And I don't want to say how old JJ is, but he looks like 20 years younger than what he actually is. It's amazing. He's very young at heart, and he's got a beautiful young son and a wife out there. I think he's in Suffolk County now, actually. I think he moved out of Nassau County. It probably was like, I
made the trek.
Yeah, somehow we went across the border. I don't know.
All right.
My. So Rich, getting back to the cold air. When you get that kind of cold air, like in the teens and 20s, since it's so dry, is that also another factor as far as snow? Because it is so dry, there just is not enough moisture content and, maybe a little warmer air.
Yeah, you've heard that term before. It's too cold to snow. But that usually, and it's never too cold to snow, really. I mean, as long as you have a little bit of moisture in there, you can get something out of it. Just remember, is it fluffy snow? Is it powdery? Is it like wet snow? It depends what type of texture on the snow is. But we've seen days when it's been very, very cold and, just a little bit of moisture there. You kind of spit in the air and you get some, snowflakes coming down. What really is the deal, Don, is when you get it's when you get a suppressing situation when you just can't get any real waves coming in from the south. The real source of our moisture tends to be from the Gulf of Mexico and the south. And when you kind of push that too far south, that's kind of when you get a dry pattern and out to sea pattern. That's kind of what it looks like right now. But, things change. Like I said, day to day you watch it. And just a little note here, Don. Forecasts that go out beyond 7 days, certainly 7 days, take with a grain of salt. They're going to change. We see it all the time. You really want to get into that 120-hour or 5-day window when we start to say, okay, we got something to talk about. But, you're going to see the maps posted. I see it all the time. It's kind of frustrating as a meteorologist to see, maps being posted like, 240 to 360 hours out with, we're going to get a big blizzard. It's like, and they post snow maps and snow totals. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. I mean, some of it is for, clickbait, as they say here in the YouTube world, just for have people click and like and all that kind of stuff. And it's not really, a lot of times some of these YouTubers, they just talk in circles.
It's just
10 minutes. And then all of a sudden they punch out with something. Well, it may snow. Okay. Well, all right. Well, you went 10 minutes saying that the sky is falling and it's not really, it's too early to tell.
You can get a general heads up. I can tell you right now that, there's going to be a cold winter pattern. Looks pretty good. There are some better probabilities. I would say if I had to guess, we'll play the 7-11 game January 7th and January 11th.
Yeah.
Probably your better chances to get some snow across New Jersey. But, but we got to see like a trend towards consistency where both everything starts to always pinpoint something that's in the ballpark of producing a major storm. But right now, too early to say. Right now, enjoy the next 5 days. I mean, it's just, you got a little mild air, quiet weather.
Yep.
And then just some, typical old school January cold weather coming up for the week.
Enjoys it, as it comes up. So if you can kind of briefly break it down just for those folks who are not in the weather world, I kind of am following you guys doing traffic for 20 plus years. But, when you say you look at the models, what are the models? Like, what are you looking at as far as, for your forecasts and things like that? Again, you hear every one of those folks on TV, radio say, I'm looking at the models, and people are thinking like, okay, well, are you crunching numbers, like physics numbers and punching them into a computer or something? Like, can you just give a brief overview as far as what that is?
Yeah, with the atmosphere being like a layer, like a chocolate layer cake. There's like, the top of the atmosphere, middle, lower. And when you put it all together, you get this like big puzzle. And what we've done over the years, what scientists have done, atmospheric scientists have created what's called algorithms or equations that determine, if you've ever taken calculus, I know it sucks. It's all based on calculus.
It does.
It's motion. The air is a fluid. It's constantly moving. It's like just this flow of air constantly across the globe, across many areas. And what they're trying to do is figure out, if it's at point A, when's going to be at point B? Is it going to go more up, more down, left to right? How cold? How hot? How much moisture? And they put these all together into these equations, and then they plot it on a map for each period, 12 hours, 24, 48, 72. And what they're trying to do is take point A and get out to point Z as best they can. But, like I said, Don, in the short range, it's almost like, forecasting is like making a golf putt. If you're making 150-foot putt, chances are it's not going to go in the hole. Okay. Yeah. But if you have a 2-foot putt, you got a good chance you're going to get it. So figure a 2-foot putt is like within 6 to 8 hours of happening. 120 is like between, like 8 days. I think it's the best way to kind of describe it.
Right.
And, the closer you get, obviously, the better fine-tuned the numbers or the algorithms are to get the forecast right. But way out, so much can go wrong. So many things can change between point A and point Z for that matter.
Sure.
So these equations that are built in are much more accurate, much more, useful within, let's say, the 48 to 72 hour range. When you start to get out between, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 days,
right.
So many things may have changed already in the short range. So these equations, again, are built into those models to give us an idea, a picture of what is probably going to happen.
Okay. Great. There you go, folks. Little Weather 101 from Richie Von Ohlen. Definitely post our comments here to the chat board if you can, please. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We're looking for subscriber number 800. We're also on Instagram. Lost a couple of our folks here on the Instagram thing. Again, Instagram is probably more for shorter videos, but not something that's going to be almost an hour. But we're giving it a try. So go ahead and like and subscribe, I guess, to that as well. So post up your comments there. On YouTube, please, for Good Morning New Jersey. So Rich, let's pivot just a little bit away from the weather and stuff like that. It's been a tough, past 3 days or so, as far as some notable folks leaving us here. Obviously Jimmy Carter, probably the biggest one. Just a couple days ago, 39th president of the United States, and really one of the first ones for an advocacy for climate change. I believe if I have the story correct, that he put solar panels on top of the White House in some capacity, and that was back in the late 70s, where these things were probably as big as homes and probably ran millions of dollars, maybe, I don't know, but was an advocate for climate change, and certainly all his wonderful work that he did even after being a one-term president. Probably in some ways maybe remembered more for that than his presidency in some folks' eyes. I don't know. We're not going to get political here, but made it to 100, which is fantastic. A couple other ones. Greg Gumbel passed away. CBS Sports. Anybody who followed college basketball for a long time, I know college basketball is certainly big out on Long Island, New York City, with St. John's and so forth, Seton Hall and stuff like that. So that was a big loss there. And also from our former place of employment there, Chuck Dolan made it to 98. Basically kind of like the father of cable TV, one of the founding fathers, started things in the Cleveland area, and then came to New York, started to do some sport. I think it was like sports distribution, I think, at that point, because there really was not a whole lot of live sports. I mean, I remember as a kid with, the Indy 500 on ABC was taped. They ran it during the day, and then they put it on at 8 o'clock that night. So, and obviously there was no way to figure out who won, because there's no internet, there was nothing. So, so it worked. But today you can't really do that anymore. But kind of started that, moved in Manhattan, founded Manhattan Cable, if I have the story correct, then founded HBO. A lot of folks said, well, who's going to pay for a movie? Well, literally the rest is history, right? AMC, American Movie Classics.
AMC, yep.
Now, to be fair, American Movie Classics is a whole lot different channel now than it was when he first started, or even when we were there. They've pivoted or whatever, and I think they actually sold it off later on towards it, but nonetheless still had the idea to do that, and also is the father basically of all the News 12s.
Yep, absolutely.
It was probably the biggest, one of the biggest contributions to news was that 24-hour local, hyper local news channel. A lot of folks said that that's not going to, it's not going to work, especially in New York, in the New York market, against all of the local newsrooms at Channel 7, Channel 2, Channel 4, 5, 7, and so forth. But they're still going.
Yeah, amazing innovation for so many years. And until you think back, I can kind of date myself here. There was a time, Don, when you didn't have a remote control for the TV. You didn't have a box. You didn't have 10, 20, 30, 40. You had 5 channels. I mean, I remember as a kid, it was, and then when that box came, my dad, we got cable back in the early 80s, and it was just like a revelation. It's like, oh my God, I can sit on the couch with this wire and change channels on the couch. This is so cool.
Yeah, that's right.
And then everything else came. MTV came. I mean, it was just unbelievable. The Weather Channel, of course, for me, that's how I got into meteorology. The Weather Channel came.
Yeah.
And when that started, I would watch that like for hours and hours, the geek I am, So it changed a lot of lives. The innovation and the evolution of what TV and what that really was, a lot of it due to Mr. Dolan. It was incredible. He changed a lot of lives.
Yeah. Now, over the years, I don't believe I ever met him. We had those big parties for, News 12 Long Island, the holiday parties and stuff. And I think every now and then he was there, but I never actually met him. Certainly he has numerous children, grandchildren, what have you. I think his wife passed sometime last year.
About a year ago, yeah.
Obviously has 2 famous sons. Obviously Jimmy Dolan, the owner of the Knicks and MSG and the Rangers and the Liberty and all of that. Everyone knows that public-facing name and whatnot. Also Pat Dolan, owner of Newsday and former president of News 12 networks. But just a real innovator, and everything that I've seen, on social media, they're a very generous individual, very caring individual. Someone who has billions of dollars, and the family is set for generations to come. But really pioneer in innovation and technology, and reading the room the right way. It seems like at every turn, made the right decision for a project that took off, and one of them also was traffic and weather.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, and amazing, very nice man too. I met him a couple of times. I was fortunate to say, and it was funny, little story here at the 25th anniversary of News 12. I was there with my wife, and we're walking around. It was in like, I guess, a catering, a big hall, and then like there he was, and she kind of like was ahead of me, walked up to him, and he gave her a hug and say, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, wait a second, Mr. Dolan, hi, I'm Rich Funnell, and I work with you. Oh, okay. Oh, who are you? Okay, but he was talking to her for a while. It was kind of funny, but always the nicest, gentleman, just very, very nice, caring, and very, very charitable. Him and his wife just, did so much for so many people. The Lustgarten Foundation, pancreatic cancer.
Yes, that's true too, right? Yeah.
So many charity, things that they did, and it's just, he's a legend. He will forever be remembered as the innovator of so much that happened across the tri-state.
And if you get a chance, folks, on Instagram, that Jimmy's asking, how do you subscribe? I guess you don't really subscribe. I think it's a follow. I think, Jim, that's what it is now. Sorry to get back to you so late, but I think it's just a follow that you do, not so much a subscription, which is the same thing. Speaking of Instagram, if you're able to find Carol Silva, our former colleague, did a nice tribute to Chuck on her page. Put some old photos up and so forth like that. I mean, she obviously worked with them a lot longer than probably both of us, but she in that she said, he would just drive his normal car, pretty much like Pat did too. Like, I mean, he just wasn't chauffeur driven or anything, and someone with, of that stature of financial, comfort, I guess, or however you want to describe it. But,
amazing. Like one of us. Yeah. Just did normal. You wouldn't even know it. And
even now.
I heard stories of walking into the studios, just, once now and then, like, oh, hi, how are you? Shaking hands with people. And, and he's the, the chairman of the board of one of the biggest, media companies to exist in the city. Yeah. Amazing.
Exactly. So our condolences to the Dolan family. So again, your cable TV, as you said, that box with the wire, if it wasn't for him, you may not even have that. I mean, maybe you would later on, but it may have been from someone else or different technology. But, it was a big step up from only 13 channels or whatever it was, right? With UHF.
That's that. Even that. I know with the antenna, the rabbit ears. I was trying to move there.
Exactly. So now you got 35, 36 channels. So that was just like, kind of just blew your mind. Like, my God, there's that. there's so much to watch.
Amazing time. Yeah, it was an amazing time when things changed like that. You know, it's just like when you went from like nothing to something really, really incredible, and you just, you know, you didn't think that all the work and all the legwork and everything that Mr. Dolan had to go through. If you read the, you know, the stories, he went through a lot. You know, he went through a lot of risk, a lot of change, a lot of you know, dealings with, you know, companies in the city, time and everything, and then he eventually got what he wanted, got what he needed, and he kept it going. And how many years? What, 40 years, 40, 50 years? I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, easily. I mean, you know, in today's climate, as far as, you know, cable TV and things like that, doing, you know, back then doing business with cable TV and local franchising and stuff like that may have been a little easier than it is today. It's a lot more difficult to do that, especially here in New Jersey. It can be a challenge for companies to start moving into territories that are, you know, notoriously owned by other companies. But hey, look, I mean, it's the complete, again, back then, you know, nobody ever would have thought someone was going to pay for TV.
Yeah.
Any form of television at all. And now look at, everyone's got 13 different subscriptions that you don't even remember you paid for until you see it until you see the renewal on the credit card, right? So it's like, oh gosh, you know. But again, our condolences to the Dolan family. Rich, I think I'm going to dive in here for some traffic for a moment, because we got on the Parkway. I want to just let everybody know about. I just got to present my screen. You're watching Good Morning New Jersey. The G-Man is sleeping off a late night from NBC 10 in Philadelphia, so he may or may not jump in here in the next few minutes. So let's see. Let me bring this in full screen. So there we go. That's really the Parkway. Again, traffic is way down, being New Year's Eve. Still, all the schools are off. A lot of folks taking the rest of the week off, maybe. So we've got a problem with the Holland Tunnel. It's probably going to run about 10 to 15 minutes there, heading into Lower Manhattan. Parkway here, we got south at 150 Hoover Avenue. The right lane is out, and you can see with the maps, it's right in here is all kinds of banged up. Just a bit going south here. This is probably what used to be called the Brookdale service area, and now they've named these. They've changed the names on both sides, and gotta think, Rich, I feel like it's a Jeopardy question or whatever. It's like, you know, Parkway rest stops for 200. I think the southbound side is named after Connie Chung, and the northbound side is Larry Doby.
You know better than me. Yeah, that's a lot.
Storied athlete from New Jersey, from Patterson. So I think that's the Connie Chung rest area. So that's kind of where it is here, just south of Route 3. As you come down, again, it used to be called the Brookdale service area in both directions there. But other than that, really, that's about it. I don't know, Rich, if you were following the story going on 80, that huge sinkhole that opened up with.
No, didn't see that. But
yeah, it was a big sinkhole out here in Wharton. I believe the story was that it was maybe an abandoned mine of some type. There was a lot of mining up in this section of Morris County into Sussex, and somehow it just opened up, I guess, whatever, the roof caved in or whatever. It took out the shoulder and part of the right lane. So it was shut down for like 3-4 days until they kind of backfilled that hole. But there was a substantial size hole. I mean, it was probably a good 20 feet by 20. I mean, it was something. Rest of the state, you're looking just fine. I mean, again, there's really not a whole lot of action out there today. Don't expect any of it, really. You know, if you are heading to Times Square to jump into the fray there, obviously mass transit's the best way to do it. There's checkpoints getting in, I think, from 5th Avenue, 6th Avenue, and even probably 7th Avenue in that area. I've never been, so I don't know the exact lay of the land of where you got to go in, but there's a lot of checkpoints of what you can and can't take in. Backpacks and things like that. Now, whether umbrellas are allowed, I don't know.
Good question. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I have a feeling I'll go 50-50 on it. You know, there's reasons maybe why they're not, you know, allowed. It could be used as some sort of whatever, but we won't say it. And then two, I almost feel like I've seen them up in certain years, but
that's a good question. Yeah, but the ponchos are the way to go. I think your poncho is going to be
exactly
something with a hood on it. Yeah, so don't get too soaked.
Well, look, I mean, if there was a YouTube video years ago that ran down, I think I mentioned this before, that ran down all of the final like 30 seconds of every year with Dick Clark from when he first started it, I guess in the late 60s or early 70s or whatever, right up until he finished doing it in late 90s or whatever. It's kind of fascinating to see because they always had the temperature, the ABC temperature or whatever it was, and here's poor Dick Clark out there with, and again, if not with climate change or whatever, but just watching that and seeing the years, how progressively it got warmer for New Year's Eves as you went into the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, almost 2000, comparatively speaking, like in the 70s where it was 15 degrees, it was 10, and then some days it was like -5, and
it's also probability too. I mean, you look at it, Don, it's timing too. Think about it. If New Year's Eve was going to be a week later, you would be that cold.
Correct.
If it was a week before. Right. It's a lot of it's just probability too. But yeah, in general, you have a better chance of being milder than colder in recent years. But,
sure. I wonder what the mildest New Year's Eve has ever been at midnight. In this area.
Yeah, check that out. But I think we've had some years when it was close to 60 actually, and we've had some years like we're going to have this year with some good rain coming through.
Sure.
Never really recall though, Don, if you think about it, is there ever a major blizzard or snowstorm on New Year's Eve? I don't think that's happened in I don't remember that.
Nothing that I can remember. Yeah.
No, you think after like 30, 40, 50 years, there would have been one shot of, decent snow down there that may have really, severely impacted the festivities. But I don't remember that. That's kind of weird. Probabilities of that happening. You think 1 in 40 years, 50 years it would happen, but it really hasn't. So
real quick, since I'm still on the maps, just as people are aware, first of all, the Port Authority bridges, I believe, are going up in tolls. I believe that's probably going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. They usually do it on the overnight. They usually don't do it right in the middle of the day. Or it's either Sunday night into Monday the 6th, one of the two. Also, congestion pricing looks like it's still scheduled to go in, although there was some news last night about some sort of a win for both sides. And I tried to get into the story before we came on air, and it's a little tough to digest. There's still lawsuits from New Jersey. So there really is not an injunction per se to say, hey, we're putting a halt to it so it does not start on Sunday morning. Okay. So at this point, I think you got to be prepared that that's going to go into effect. So it's $9. Anything, I think, south of 57th. I may have the streets mixed up. Maybe it's 67, something like that. So, and then you're going to get hit with the tolls at the bridges and tunnels going up. So it's not going to be a fun new year if you're looking to go into Manhattan next year.
Who knows? Did I get charged? Did I not get charged?
It's going to be, honestly, it's going to be tough for a lot of folks, really. It's not, it's nothing to kind of just dispel or whatever, and honestly, especially for folks coming from where you are, Nassau County, going into the city where the East River bridges have never been tolled. But now with this toll, it's kind of a quasi toll on the bridges too. So now you're going to get hit as well, and if this goes, I think definitely you will see in some capacity, tolling on those East River bridges. It's eventually going to come. That's just the way I look at it. It's eventually going to show up at some point in our lifetime. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I really think that is something. And again, part of it is just the fact that it's possible to do it. Just with technology, it's just possible to physically put up the readers, and that's it. You don't need a toll plaza. So there you go. 7:10 is our time. So you're watching Good Morning New Jersey. Jump in here and let us know where you're watching us from. We're also on Instagram as well. So let us know where you're watching us from there. Let's see, Rich. So obviously a disastrous season for our football local here, which is to say the least. I don't know if disaster, I think maybe in certain terms of the Jets and Giants, maybe kind of a nice word. There's probably other words that use.
But debacle. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just unraveling or whatever. Just horrible football. I mean, I think there's one game left, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's this Sunday.
Yep.
So Giants finally won one after losing like 8 in a row, or I don't even know what. They're 3-13.
3-13. They had their first home win of the season finally at MetLife Stadium. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
What's the last game of the year?
Yeah. I didn't expect the Giants to be great this year. I usually do like a preseason kind of like picks for myself, and I figured them to be maybe 7-10, something like that. I didn't think they'd be that bad. The Jets, I thought, would be at least borderline playoff wild card team. I think they're surprisingly not as good as I think, because they had some good talent. I mean, they had some pretty good players on that team, between the defense and the offense. And I really thought they would be like somewhere 10-7, something like that. But
right.
A lot of head scratching here, for all the New York teams and shit. I don't know. It's just, I'm more of a Giants fan than a Jets fan. And we've had our good seasons. Look, back 5, 10, 15 years ago, the Giants were a phenom. They were a fun team to watch with Eli. Hopefully gets in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
It was fun to watch those games, and even the Jets, they were competitive, in and out from certain seasons, but it's just every year you get your hopes up, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I mean, you even have there was an article in Newsday a couple of days ago. A lot of season ticket holders are just not renewing. You just can't stand going to these games. It's almost like saying the visiting team has more fun than they have. That's not good. You got to change that around. New York sports, especially football, needs to be more exciting. If they're not winning, it's one thing, but at least make the game exciting. Make it close. Make it at least. And a lot of these games weren't even. I mean, it's not even close. It's
I don't know who the Jets have Sunday, but they just got blown to pieces up there in Buffalo, which was expected. I mean, Buffalo is one of the teams to look out for the playoffs. Certainly the Vikings, they're another hot team. So there's, kind of moving the pieces around the league, just a little bit. It's been quite a while, I think, since Minnesota has been that good. Obviously, Philadelphia is another one to watch out for.
Yep. And Miami's at the Jets. Jets are playing Miami at MetLife Stadium, and Giants are at Philadelphia. It's going to be interesting in that game, Don.
Yeah.
Of course, former Giant Saquon Barkley.
That's true too.
Playing in that game and going for an all-time record to beat Eric Dickerson on the yardage thing. That's something to watch. He breaks that record. That's and against the former team too. Wow.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Great for him. Yeah. I imagine as soon as he crosses that mark or whatever, that's it. He's done for the year. I mean, he's done for the game. Why would you leave him in if they're in the playoffs?
It's probably an agreement. Yeah, you don't want to risk the injury, but then again, you do want to see the record. That's history in the making right there. But
no, this is true. Absolutely. With the AFC, obviously the Chiefs are on fire. I mean, my God. I mean, you can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them. I mean, they're just a buzzsaw. So. We'll see how that plays out.
Teams, though. Yeah, some good teams. I tell you what, this could be a very interesting playoff season for the NFL. I mean, you got some really exciting teams. I mean, you got a lot of teams that are just terrible, but you got a bunch of teams like Detroit. That game last night was unbelievable. Yeah. They got an offensive juggernaut in there. They can really make the game exciting. You got Philadelphia, of course, we talked about having a great year. You got Kansas City, which is the ones to beat, so to say. And then you got some, the Vikes, like I said, the Vikes and some of the other teams in there that certainly could make an impact. I think it's going to be an exciting few weeks to watch football. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Just trying to look at this here real quick. I haven't really kept up over the last 2 weeks here or whatever. I mean, I'm a Jets fan, so that ended 2 months ago. Just trying to see if my computer will bring this up. It's kind of graphic intensive here, but I think the Texans are in there as well.
Yeah.
Not, kind of a little over 500 for the most part.
They've had some bad injuries too. They were on the downturn a little bit, unfortunately. They had some really good potential there.
The Baltimore, the Ravens, they're always in it. and then they never get out of the first round. The Ravens, they never get out of the first round for some reason. I don't know why, but I just don't know what it is. So if you're on, BetMGM or one of those sites.
Then you got the Bills. I think Josh Allen is, he can change the game. I mean, you got some good stuff there with the Bills, and I think this is going to be an exciting playoff. I mean, it's tough to call. You put it on paper, you look at it. I don't think there's any. I mean, you can argue about the Chiefs, but I tell you what, I think the rest. It's 4 or 5 teams in there that can give that team a run. I think they can be beat. I think it can be done, but it's going to be a little exciting to see. And there's always that one team that kind of shows up, that 10-6 like the Rams, magically find a way to sneak and win and get in there towards the championship.
I was going to say, so there's 8 teams that make the playoff. Am I right? There is, right?
I think you got 3 division winners, and then you got the wild cards. Yeah.
Or is it
4? I mean 4. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's 4. Yeah, there's 4 divisions.
I'm sorry.
So maybe it's 6.
4 and 4.
So it's maybe 6. I think it's 4 divisions and 2 wild cards, I think is what it is. But I could be wrong. Yeah. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I think there's 8. I think there's 8 altogether. I don't know. It's a little confusing. But anyway, so some of the teams real quick for those who are not dialed in, and you can see I'm not really. I can't really show the site because it's the NFL. I'm not going to get thrown off of YouTube by the NFL. Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Texans, Steelers, Chargers, and the hunt still are the Broncos, and on the bubble is surprisingly the Dolphins. So they need the win over the Jets Sunday in order to keep the season alive. Even the Bengals too.
And the Bengals are still in there, yeah.
Correct.
Fighting for that last wild card, the Dolphins, Bengals, and the Broncos. Surprisingly good year for the Broncos. That was pretty cool to watch them this year. They were fun to watch.
True. Yeah. NFC is the Lions, Eagles, the Rams, Vikings, Commanders, and Packers. They always tend to jump in there, and still in the hunt are the Buccaneers. And the Falcons are on the bubble at 8 and 8.
Yeah, someone's got to win the NFC South. Yeah, the Buccaneers and the Falcons fighting for that final. Who wins that division? So.
Right. And the Chargers are another team too. Notoriously over the years, they'll get into the playoffs and then.
Yeah, they look pretty good last few weeks. They got a chance. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty, exciting kind of playoff scenario. I think a lot of surprises, interesting, and good games coming up here.
Yeah, and I mean the Texans too. They seem to somehow manage to squeak in all the time, and then they just kind of take a nosedive for the first round. But I mean, if you look at just going by the wins, NFC has got a whole lot more wins. Lions are 14-2, Eagles 13-3, Rams 10-6. Vikings 14-2, Commanders 11-5, 11-5. So it's always competitive. I mean, it's always exciting. So
this should be a good one. Yeah, this should be fun to watch
to look out for. And speaking of NFL and going with the weather, I saw some interesting things about the new stadium in Buffalo, how they're making the roof with the snow melt capacity.
There you go.
Going to melt the snow. It's not really a roof per se, but I think the roof is really over the fans, not so much the field. But it's
not shoveling the stands.
State of the art situation. Yeah, I think it's actually a heated field, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Okay, that'll help a little bit there. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll help. I don't know. I guess the Bills that are they're accustomed to playing in that stuff.
I was going to say, I don't know if they want to, they're so used to playing, and maybe they don't want anybody to have another advantage. Like a Miami coming up, and it's the warm. Yeah. But so that's your NFL kind of playoffs. I'm certainly no broadcaster of sports at this point, although I was at one point. But let's see. What else, Rich? We got a couple more minutes left. Any New Year's resolutions for you there, Richie?
I think one of my resolutions as I get older is I think I'm going to worry about less and just, see the world as a big world and not let everything get to me. I think, you get older, you get a little more, kind of crazy, especially with social media. You read a lot of stuff. I think I'm going to just tone down the level of concern and worry. I think it's going to be my new resolution this year. I mean, it's been a great year for me. I got to be honest. This 2024 was a very special, very good year for me. Took some time off. spent a lot of time with the family, did a lot of things I love to do, fishing, golfing, and
Right.
traveling. And like I saw you the Alaska thing a few weeks ago. I can't complain. It was good. And I just hope 2025, is kind of similar. So we're going to look forward to some positive stuff this year. More positivity, I think. That's the thing.
I like that. Same thing with me, maybe getting in a little better shape than I am now, although it's been kind of an ongoing progress over the last couple of months. Been back to the gym quite often. So that's a step in the right direction. And I'm sure on Tuesday or Monday or whatever, the gym will be packed, and then, give it 2 weeks and then everyone kind of tails off on it. But hopefully they don't. We want our friends to get out there and do some any kind of exercise. And the other part of it too is just healthy, and really is health. Like you said, when you start getting older, it's really health. One of the most important things, that it's a good quality of life. That you're just enjoying and not having to worry about.
Stay active. Just keep going. Like you say, just keep going until you can't keep going anymore. No matter how old you get. And my dad just turned 80, a few weeks ago, and he's still down there, still out doing active, moving around, and it's good to see. It's good to see.
I think you said staying active and enjoying what you're doing, or not worrying about so many little things that you really can't change per se. Worrying about stuff that you're just gonna be stuck, you're right back in the same situation with the same problem, even though you complain about it or whatever for 10 minutes, you still got the same problem.
Yeah, I know. And the thing with news too, Don, you and I have worked in the news, for so many years, and we live it, we eat it, we see it, we digest, we're in it, we're immersed in it. And when you keep dealing with and seeing the news, you kind of like sometimes take it personally, when the stock market's down, when there's a presidential stuff, when there's political stuff, when there's issues in Israel, across the globe, and you almost feel like you're responsible, like, I want to do something about it. But I'm telling myself it's a big world. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. You just got to understand what you can control. And that's your daily life. What we do here, what you do with your family, what you do with our friends. And that's what you control, and that's, I think my focus on this year is to just stay with that.
After a while, the news, like you said, we have 20, 25 years plus, each of us.
Yeah.
And it just gets depressing after a while, because, the news doesn't really tell you anything good. It's stuff that, I don't know. The landscape has changed so much. Not like it was that way years ago, but it's just the way people digest information, I think, and being so desensitized to just about everything from Instagram and X and Facebook, that it's just whatever. There's just not. It just doesn't sell. I hate to say it. It just doesn't. It does. It really doesn't. It makes no.
It sounds worse than it is. When you read about it, it sounds like it sounds terrible. But then at the end, when it's all said and done,
and part of it too is like you mentioned earlier about some of these folks on social with the weather, they know it. Posting something that's saying blizzard coming, or impending doom, that kind of thing. People are, they're looking for the bread and the milk and that whole joke and all that kind of
eggs, bread, and milk.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Hurry up. So, well, like I said, when we know it's pretty imminent, coming close, like I said, within that 5-day period, then we can start going, okay, let's get the snowblower tuned up, let's get the gear ready, let's make proper plans to work around this storm. And you know what? We're going to survive it. We've survived them before. We've been through blizzards, 96, the 2000s. We've been through crazy stuff, and we're going to get through this. Okay.
Great. All right, Rich, let me do the sponsors here real quick. And I want to also just throw a shout out. I saw on Instagram my friends at the Shaved Cave here, in Clark on Raritan Road, right next to the Friendlies. They're a great bunch of fellas over there. Just want to give them a shout out. Head on over to their location along Raritan Road. Just Google them, Shave Cave. Do a great job. Do hot towel shaves, fades, the whole thing. So certainly head on over to their website and check them out. I just saw them jump into the Instagram chat for just a couple of moments. We also have my good friend Darlene Newman. You can watch her show on PBS Create, Amazon Prime, Wonder Innovation TV's Journey, also New Jersey PBS. Head to her website, which is darlene-newman.com. Follow her on Instagram as well as on Facebook and X. Very active on Instagram, posts a lot of reels here with this new season coming up. sometime early in 2025. We'll give you the details when that finally does drop. I have a little clip here. I wanted to, for those who are not familiar, we didn't do this last time, but we're not familiar with Darley's trekking around the world. This is a promo that I've run couple of different times. So I'm going to run it now. It's been a while since we've done that. And then on the backside of it, we'll talk to our friends at Eastern Millwork.
We're starting in Chicago and traveling to St. Louis.
In an all-new season of Travels with Darley, we're taking on the USA with tasty stops in Alabama,
You know something's good when it's been in business for more than 50 years.
Louisiana,
The Cajun culture and the Creole culture, people's pride made me want to dig my own roots.
North Dakota,
We are on one of the most beautiful trails,
Illinois,
complete with classic cars and a poodle skirt.
and Virginia. Plus, revolutionary road trips chock full of American history through Charleston and South Carolina.
I was a soldier for 23 years. What took place here is very humbling to me.
Saratoga, New York, and Princeton and beyond in New Jersey.
Georgia's sucking up a place where George Washington and then.
So you've seen Hamilton multiple times, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll head further afield to South Korea, from city to temple.
History is history, and I think we need to realize that we can learn from history.
Such as a little sample of what Travels with Darley is all about. She has some upcoming episodes, like I said, early in the new year in Passaic County. So a little Jersey flair to it. Also, let's talk to our friends at Eastern Millworks. This is our buddies down in Monmouth County, Eastern Architectural Millwork, doing the exterior division, some exterior pergolas and so forth, and a lot of home repairs, do a lot of stuff down the shore. G-Man's tied in with them really tight with those fine friends there, and big sponsors of the program. Again, that's Eastern Millwork on 5005 Belmar Boulevard, Unit A2 in Wall Township. Give them a call at 732-610-4502. Let me just bring us back into the mix here, Rich. There we go.
Right.
So we got our sponsors in, which is great. And I'll throw another one, Lupa Restaurant in Berkeley Heights, Rich. If you're ever this way, if you pay the congestion pricing and you come through the city, pay the Verrazano toll, Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, Lupa Restaurant, probably one of the best restaurants in the tri-state area. And I'm including some of the stuff in the city too. It's outstanding. Outstanding. Right. Hidden gem.
Sounds good.
In northwestern Union County in the beautiful Watchung Mountains. So I will throw that out there. I was there on Saturday. All right, Rich. Let's just do a quick wrap up of our weather for tonight for those revelers, maybe either heading to Times Square or locally. Going to do some maybe traveling. You know, obviously coming home from some of these parties could be maybe a little bit challenging. So if you want to run it down real quick as far as what we're expecting for tonight and into the new year.
Sure, you can grab my graphics if you want again quickly. Sure. It's up to you. We've got the future radar taking this afternoon, and nothing until we get till after 7 p.m. across New Jersey. There's going to be a wave of rain, showers, some downpours. There are some red, orange, and yellow. I don't think it's going to be severe. It's just going to be those kind of like downpours. A poncho, a good idea. Maybe some rain gear just to have throughout tonight. And then it looks like we'll get this out of here from New Year's Day. We look pretty good. But it's going to get windy. It's going to get cold. Hey, it's January. It's supposed to be like this. And it looks like the long range will just be, cold going into most of January. But if there's a snowstorm headed our way, we'll know better within that 5-day window. But for now, just get ready for, a little bit of rain, a little bit of a cold change, and then eventually some winter cold coming in for 2025.
Well, sounds good. Get those winter jackets brushed up and cleaned up, coming from flip-flops to a heavy parka and a scarf, and maybe another week and change or so. All right, Rich, good to see you, my friend. Happy New Year to you and your family and everybody out there.
Same to you. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, not Hawaii, but
we wish. We can only wish. But exactly. Thanks to everybody to a very happy, healthy New Year. All the best in 2025, and hope you had a pretty good 2024. We'll flip the page and hopefully go forward with a lot of good news and good things coming up in this new year.
This is true. Well, here's the G-Man's favorite music. So we say Happy New Year to the G-Man's family, big guy, and hopefully we'll be back with us next Tuesday. Right. We'll try to do a program, first one of the 2025. Make sure I had to change the banners to see the thing. So, all right, Rich, thanks again, my friend. We'll see you soon. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year, everybody. Like and subscribe to Good Morning New Jersey on YouTube.